We have with us Kalpana Pathak, um, who is currently working with Mint newspaper. Before that, she was with Business Standard and Times of India. She's been writing on higher education for more than 10 years and has recently come out with a book on alternative education. Kalpana, welcome to LitFest X. Great to have you with us.
Thank you, Kumar. Thank you for having me here.
Great. So, Kalpana, at the outset, I'm personally interested on the subject of alternative education, and so tell me more about how you got into this area of researching and writing about alternative education.
Great. Actually, Westland was looking for, they had the idea in mind about bringing out a book on alternative education because it's not a subject that a lot of people in India know about. So they were looking for someone who would know some detail about the education sector, and that's how they approached me. I've been writing on education sector, as you mentioned, for the past 10 years for Business Standard. And I found this interesting because in school, when we were rather in college, we used to do some projects during our summer vacations. And we had visited a couple of alternative schools there, and we saw and liked the way they were working. So I thought this is an opportunity for me to understand it in more detail. So I took it up. And in fact, they wanted me to give them a sample of my writing. So I actually visited Tridha, which is an alternative school, a Waldorf school in Bombay, Andheri. And I went there for a day. I saw how they work and the philosophies that they use, the way they deal with children. I came back and I did my piece. I submitted to them. They liked it, and that's when we took it forward from there.
Great. So, tell us about when you say alternative education, the the common myth I'm assuming is that it is just about homeschooling, right, or non-formal education. But I'm sure there's more to it. So, tell us
Yes.
about that.
Sure. For homeschooling and alternative education are two very different segments, Kumar. Alternative education is like any other formal schooling that you have, but the ways and methodologies that are used to educate children are far more different than what any normal school would be using, a run-of-the-mill schools would be using. For instance, I'll just give you an example. Children in the category of like first to third standard, they are taught stuff because children are used to imitating. So teachers make things do they do things in the class and they ask them to imitate. For instance, they are given a lot of choice to play in the class. There's no formal education that really takes place. It's just about your character building and morale building at that point of time. So the teachers will give them a lot of stuff to play in the classroom, and the moment the class is over, the teacher himself or herself would be taking that stuff and putting it away in the cupboard and tell the children to imitate. So they will also take their own toys and keep it away. So this is something that builds your character over a period of time. The children learn how to be more organized, how to take care of their own stuff. So all this is a way of education as well as your character building. So this is how they are taught. Whereas when we usually see in nursery classes, we are taught rhymes, and we are, in general, we are taught A, B, C, D. All of that is introduced a little later. But at alternative schools, at this particular stage, they are taught a lot of stories, moral education happens through that. And a lot of character building also happens through that. Like one of the schools I visited, they had a lot of lofts in classroom. So if the kid is tired sitting at one place or doesn't want to listen to what the teacher is saying, he can just climb up and play if he wishes to. And the teacher does not really restrict the child saying, please sit and listen to what I'm saying. The teacher allows the kid to be himself or herself. So there is no particular, scolding or giving a direction to a child. They are just allowed to be themselves for that particular period because those alternative schools believe that freedom is at the core of their existence. And the more the child is allowed to be by himself or herself and learn, that is what they largely look at.
There a lot of people feel that alternative schooling or education is meant for people who have either learning disabilities or who are not able to learn with the mainstream. So I
Yes,
think
yes.
I think the connotation of alternative in many ways is that this is not mainstream, right?
Yeah.
Um, what has been your research in this area?
You're right, Kumar. When I visited a couple of these schools, they did have a similar problem that they were facing. I'd use the word problem because they are an alternative to mainstream education. They are not schools for especially abled children. So they themselves saying that they feel it difficult. That a lot of times parents come to them and say that my child is differently able, and if you could give him admission because he couldn't find admission anywhere else. So the schools find it a little difficult to deal with that. But having said that, these schools also say that when a child comes to them, they do not turn them away. So, well, schools I visited, I saw a few dyslexic children there. So, what these schools do is they'll take you, they'll educate you, and but they will look at what your strength is and they'll try and build upon that. For instance, Anand Niketan in Wardha, which is in Maharashtra, which is a Nai Talim or Mahatma Gandhi philosophy of education they follow. So they were saying that there's a child who is dyslexic, and that child couldn't read and write as well as the other kids could, but that child was very good with designing, embroidery, and tailoring. So what the teachers did, they figured this out, and they brought a special teacher to teach that particular kid, and that's how the kid was finding it more interesting to come back to school, learn new things. And that probably actually the Nai Talim is all about giving the child an alternative so that he can also look at us as a vocation going forward. So that was something that the teacher was very happy about, that this child knows embroidery, he knows tailoring, he's so interested in that despite his special ability. So that going forward, he can be independent and earn for himself. He doesn't really have to be dependent on anyone. So these are these strengths that these schools usually look for, and try and build on that. They are still battling this whole thought about the fact that it's for specially able children. Like at Inodai, when I went and I met the principal there, she was saying that a couple of people come to them and say, "Mere bacche ko admission de do," because nobody's giving them admission. Now, these schools have already been in line with the Right to Education Act, which was introduced pretty late in India. But they've been following that. They do have masons' children, they do have carpenters' children, they accept all of them. And the best thing is that because these schools do not take donations from you, it becomes affordable for their children as well. So the point that these schools usually try to make is we need to have children, we need to make an individual a complete happy individual than just rights which you need to mug up, you need to write examinations and be job ready. The idea that these guys look at is to make you a complete individual, to make you a happy individual, so that tomorrow when you face challenges in life, it's not that you're dismayed and dissuaded by something, but how you can bounce back through your hobbies. They teach you clay modeling, they teach you artwork, they teach you embroidery, as I mentioned to you. So a lot of other things, whichever, we all have some or the other hobby. So they give a range of opportunities to kids, whichever you want, you can pick it up as a hobby. When I went to Pata Bhavan, which is in Shanti Niketan, there I met a teacher. He did her PhD in music, and she was teaching in France. She had come back to teach at the school. So she's been a student of Shanti Niketan. So this whole myth about the fact that these are schools for specially abled children is absolutely a myth, as I would say.
So how long have they been around in India? I mean, by and large. So do students in alternative schools also end up, let's say, giving their board exams, etc.? Do they have the normal course of subjects available to them?
Yes, absolutely. These schools usually follow either an IB format, or they affiliate themselves to the local boards, because at the end of the day in India, you need to write an examination, get a certificate, and move on. So all these schools, they follow the normal rigor of any general school. The only difference is till the 8th standard there are no examinations. So the child is actually taken off the pressure of examination appearing for that. And so, as I said, the whole idea is to enjoy learning and learn beyond what it is in textbook. So a lot of them don't follow textbooks either, except for languages and mathematics, which you need a very specific line that you need to follow. So they allow you to be yourself. There are subjects like geography, history. You can go on the net, you can research. There are no textbooks, so you can actually get into the details of that subject. There's no particular timeline that you have to follow. In a semester, you're supposed to do 10 lessons. So all of that is not followed. In fact, one of the schools I went to, they said that they usually take one particular topic, and over 3 to 4 weeks, they go over that topic, the history, the present. They analyze everything threadbare, and so the child not only memorizes it for life, because it's been happening over 3 to 4 weeks, but he also learns new things about it. What he knows, the in and out of that particular subject. So that is how basically they do not really work in a very time bound manner. They have time at leisure, is what they say.
But sorry, I'm nitpicking on this, but when students from alternative schools, let's say, go out to college, university, do they have data to evidence that they are competing with the best in a proper
Uh,
manner?
Kumar, actually, a lot of these kids who have been at this school I've seen are very bright. I think they would be, but I also use the word happy and more aware for them along with being bright, because when I compared these children with schools of general schools, I thought and I found that they're more aware of what is happening. So those kids would be more clued into what's happening right now, the news that is right now, because that's discussed with the teachers on a daily basis for them, instead of a normal school that we go to, where teachers talk about that particular day's lesson, that particular day's test that they're supposed to be writing. So I found them more aware. A lot of these kids, as far as I researched, have gone abroad and studied. So you really need to have that rigor to write a GMAT, to score well in that examination. A kid whom I have featured in my book, she said that she's dyslexic and she's going abroad to pursue her B.Ed. She wants to do something in this field of alternative education. And the school Purna that she studied in Bangalore gave her the base to be the child that she is today. Because despite the fact that she's specially able, she can, and she's doing pretty well for herself. So in terms of competition, and I've featured in the book as well, Mithu Chandeliya, who was the CEO for AirAsia. I mean, we all know about Mithu, how competitive he is. So he is an alternative education. He has been to the school. He did till 12th. He was at Chennai KFI, Krishnamurti Foundation School. So in terms of competition, honestly, I don't see them any lesser as compared to children in general. One of the schools, CFL Hyderabad, had a child. They've mentioned in the annual report that he had been homeschooled and he went on to top the IIT JEE examination. So it's about not only about your studies and being good at studies, but it's the other aspect of character building and being a happy individual, as I mentioned to you. They largely look at that, making you giving a holistic approach to education, and not only about writing an examination, being top there and landing up with a big buck salary job. And basically the all the measures that the society describes as successful, these schools do not really follow that. They talk about you being a happy and peaceful individual with yourself. That's how
Right.
it is.
So, and how many alternative schools would India have roughly right now?
I think there'll be around 300 to 400. The numbers aren't great, though
Sure.
the concept of alternate education is quite huge. As I mentioned to you, Shantiniketan has been there
Sure.
since Rabindranath's time.
Sure.
So over 100 years. Rajghat Basant that we have in Banaras has been there for 50 years, which was again K. Krishnamurti Foundation School. And there are new schools which are coming up as teachers and parents understand this whole idea more and more, and they agree to it, the fact that education should be a happy experience for children and not an exercise that you have to go through. So more and more parents are actually becoming part of this whole movement, if I can call it.
Right. Well, that brings us almost to the end of the session, Kalpana. I'll probably just take another question, but more in terms of what do you think is the future of alternative education in India, given that as a society we are still predominantly focused on grades, percentages, because it's very competitive to get into the higher education mainstream, whether in India or abroad. And given that environment, where do you see alternative education going ahead in the future?
I think the future is very bright for alternative education. As we see, as you rightly mentioned, that the environment is very competitive. But I would like to make a point here that alternative education, I think personally, after researching, is more for parents than for children. Because you, as a parent, will have to be convinced that your child is getting the right education. Parents largely are very competitive. If my child is a 6 year old and I compare him or her with another 6 year old, he can sing rhymes, he can jump up and down. But my child, who probably is at an alternative school, if he's not as apt, I start comparing. So as as a parent will have to be more understanding about and convinced about alternative education than uh, than the child, because I know what is good. So usually, what these schools do is, I'm answering your question in a different way, Kumar. Usually, what these schools do is they hold sessions for parents at their school at the academic session. So they'll brief parents about what the schooling and the way of teaching is all about. So if the parent is convinced, only then do these schools accept their children. It's not like you just go sign a form and you can admit your kid. So it's largely about the parents understanding it. And now, as I see, there's getting about alternative education. As I've seen in the past couple of months itself, I've seen a couple of my friends who've taken their kids out of mainstream schools and put them in alternative schools. So parents are getting more aware of it, and I think going forward, this particular schooling way of schooling has a bright future, because we as parents, if we want our kids to be happy and successful at the same time, alternative school is a good way of putting them through, just making them a complete holistic individual than just putting them through 12 years of schooling and then another 3 years of graduation, making them write competitive examinations and go. Basically, you need to tell the kid how he can deal with the challenge in life as well, in addition to writing examinations. And alternative schools teach you that as well through the various methodologies that we follow.
Great. No, thank you so much, Kalpana. That was very interesting. So maybe you need to do sessions on alternative schooling for parents, since you mentioned it's the parents who
Yes.
require that orientation.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm noticing this lovely painting behind you. This.
Yeah.
Tell us, show it to our viewers, and tell us a little about it.
Can you see it now?
Yes, yes.
This is something that my dad picked up. We went shopping when we were doing our house, and he really liked it. So he just picked up. I didn't like the color much. I wanted it to be brighter, but my dad thought this will be apt. So that's how we picked it up. This is in our dining area largely that we have it.
Great, great. Well, thank you for joining us, and wish your book all the success and power to your pen as you write about education and alternative education. Thank you.
Thank you, Kumar. Thank you.